All right, everyone, we've got hilarious breaking news, which is John Kerry may run in 2020. Oh my God, I don't believe in a God necessarily, but whatever God's out there, please make him run. Like, possess him and force him to do so. It would be so fucking funny. Do you fucking understand how hilarious it would be to see John Kerry running against Donald Trump? Donald Trump, he's gyrating around the stage, throwing his fists in the air and saying, get him out of here, and all the crazy shit. John Kerry, what was he known for when he ran against George W? Other than can't even beat George W, which is, I think, itself a problem in trying to establish a credible presidential campaign. Let's get past that, though, for a minute and realize that he actually lost more handily than Gore did. It's just fucking terrible. Since the Iraq War had already begun at the time and Bush was already unloved, everyone knew he was a moron. He was already making Bushisms. What was he mainly known for? Boring as hell. He is literally, I can't think of anyone other than Hillary Clinton that would most exemplify the face of the establishment. Boring, pro-war neoliberal, pro-intervention, certainly on Libya, Syria, Yemen, everywhere else in the world, definitely pro-proxy war. Old, male, which certainly wouldn't be a good thing. Look, the Democratic Party's basic problem is that it's at a loss to reconcile the uprising and growing democratic movements that are progressive or socialistic. They tend to be younger, they tend to be more activistic, much more poor, but more activistic. To take that grassroots / social media / tech literate / younger / more likely to vote audience of the new left and reconcile it with an inevitable candidate that needs to take bank and corporate money, wage an old style 90s campaign like a John Kerry. John Kerry would get probably 0% of certain segments of that progressive voting bloc. There would be people that say, well, the Democratic Party, a white male, a white straight Christian male running the Democratic Party. Now, who would have thought? And they will abandon it in large numbers and vote third party. If you want to hand a few more million people to the libertarian and greed movements, all you have to do is nominate John Kerry again. Because maybe that made sense in the mid-2000s. Look, at the time, Bush was already on the ropes. He was declining in popularity. We had an unpopular war effort going on that was beginning to drag on throughout time. There were all sorts of problems with the Bush admin. The Patriot Act was constantly embattled. We had this sort of generational debate between, are we going to be patriotic America #1 and kill people to show that we can, or are we going to settle down, work with the world community, and basically manage things in a diplomatic manner. And that continued to be the debate for several years beyond the 2004 election as well. I know a lot of people can't even remember it. I can. Can you remember Swift voting? Look, John Kerry, it was really easy to target him because he has a lot of baggage. He's got even more now. He was a Secretary of State during a period in which our country saw a marked decrease in our diplomatic and foreign policy capabilities, in which the President of the United States was openly spurned by the Chinese. Relations began to break down with Russia. And if he were to run against Donald Trump, Trump would say, essentially, yeah, relations between us and a few countries have gotten worse while I've been president. Mostly, though, they've been fine. When you were in office, things went to shit, essentially. You worked for Obama, the bungler-in-chief on foreign policy outside of everything not involving Cuba or having good relations with the EU. Essentially, everything else declined under Obama's presidency. Trump, for all of his Western Europe difficulties, has done a great job in Asia. He's done a great job. I mean, he got praise even from the left on Venezuela with the way he handled it there. He's got no problems on foreign policy or taxation. And by the way, John Kerry, in order to strike a tone that helps him with the younger voters, which, it's not hard to be younger than John Kerry at this point. In order to strike that tone, he'll probably have to say, we're going to raise taxes. Whoops. Try getting those business Democrats back on board that are already going to pay less because Trump lowered the tax rate. More of them will be voting for Trump, and it's going to be hard to get him back without abandoning liberalism altogether in a fiscal sense, which in turn would alienate large groups of younger voters that'll swing third party. Either way, the Democrats lose if they nominate a neoliberal like John Kerry. Would be extreme. Trump would have to mess up really badly in order to throw the election their way. Or they would have to get a progressive candidate, a Sanders-style candidate. Now, Warren can't do it. Warren's level of baggage and the way she grates really on the centrist voters, I don't think would be a recipe for success. Gillibrand is close. She's obviously maneuvering herself into that position to be sort of the stopgap between the actual left, the younger / more left voters, and the neoliberals, which means to say she's a neoliberal willing to do a little bit of pretending. But unfortunately, a lot of the Bernie voters will probably see through it. I don't agree with them on many fiscal issues. I think that fiscally they're way out there. They don't understand foreign policy, maybe. But they are more perceptive than the neoliberals. I'm going to give them credit for being at least perceptive. So I don't think, honestly, there aren't that many Democrats I can think of that probably could challenge Trump. The real it's not in Trump being unpopular or popular. It's not really a measure that's who is going to stand against him. John Kerry, oh, it would be so funny because he'd be so boring. Like if you thought that Clinton drove, in many parts of the country, low Democratic turnout. Outside of California, New York, turnout was considerably lower than it probably should have been, considering the gravity of the situation for the Democratic Party, considering how much force they put behind it and how much they crowed about how they expected to win. They should have actually been willing to try to win. They didn't do that. It was a really bad thing for them. If you think that Hillary Clinton, who at the very least is occasionally capable of making a charismatic statement, who is about the same age and who's female, that's an advantage when it comes to turnout among the more leftist groups. If she gets fucked, what do you think is going to happen to John Kerry? Old, white, male this time, and even less charismatic. And be the face of the neoliberal establishment. Look, the neoliberals don't care about like the diversity thing, the glass ceiling. Like Hillary Clinton, she uses glass ceiling to get votes. Ultimately, it's about Hillary Clinton. She wants to be that fabled first female president. Just like John Kerry wants to be the first mentally damaged president, since George W. Bush at least. He's a weird person. It'd be a little bit like Biden. Considering the fact that John Kerry and Joe Biden are the two most recognizable faces, or Kamala Harris, who I assure you will not be the person running, or The Rock or Oprah, who also won't be the nominee. Considering that those are sort of the big five that you see right now, don't you see a fucking problem with the Democrats come 2020? No, they're going to have to pull another dark horse candidate out of their ass like they did with Obama. The problem is they did that so recently, people might notice that it's a little bit odd that some random person that happens to be young and well-spoken and kind of a neoliberal would get the reins of power from the DNC. Trump's not going to let the issue go. He'll remind people of that fact because that's sort of what he does for his political living at this point. He knows that he can't really work with the Democrats directly. He has to shake their hands behind closed doors because they're like, hey, Trump, we want to work with you, but we don't want to be seen by all these tens of millions of actual liberals doing that because they'll never vote for us again. The Green Party will end up becoming a viable third-party option. We'll see Gary Johnson Party, million votes, Libertarian Party, Constitutionalist, Green Party, Communist Party, Nazi Party. All of them would like quadruple with growth. Be insane. Look, our republic would begin to fracture at some point because of the Democratic Party's stupidity. Trump would coast to victory. Now, he'd probably win every state at that point because so much of the vote would be split between people that are actually on the left they're not going to vote for John Kerry. I mean, come on, dude. Do you actually think that a single one of them is going to look at Kerry, look at the warmongering, and plus more taxes? White male, warmonger, old, totally anti-immigrant comments from the 2000s and the 90s. Worked with Obama, foreign policy, probably his weak point among the left. Domestic policy, Obama was always stronger with the younger crowd than on his foreign policy, once he showed that he was willing to drop bombs on civilians, that is. That or intel. That's a problem, too. Look, it's not even clear the Democrats even have a chance. We got to wait to see the FISA memo at this point. We got to wait to see what happens in the midterms before we can truly judge. But I can tell you, if John Kerry actually throws his hat in the ring in 2020, if he's still around by then, he could conk out anytime. He's an old man. He could have a stroke or something. If he runs and is nominated, the Democrats will lose. Absolutely. They wouldn't stand a chance against Donald Trump. So I hope that they do run him because it'd be funny. Because he would get run into the ground. He would do more poorly than Hillary Clinton. He would probably lose Minnesota. He'd probably give up Nevada. He'd probably give up Virginia. They could end up losing New Hampshire and Maine, certainly. New Hampshire, Hillary Clinton gets a boost from Bernie. Bernie probably won't be capable of campaigning come the next election. So you don't get that New England boost that you got this time. Think about it. Hillary Clinton, I think got 10 points less of the vote than Obama did here in Vermont, despite the fact that she was very visibly endorsed by Sanders. Then went on to blame him, of course, for her problems, which didn't exactly ingratiate the DNC shills to the progressive movement anyway. So I hope that John Kerry runs. Oh, absolutely. Oh, it'd be legendary. It'd be so, so great. I hope that Trump gets primaried and Jeb jumps in, and then Kerry jumps in on the other side, and they just start insulting each other, like they have nervous breakdowns because it'd be Bush versus Kerry again. And so everyone's just like, what the hell is happening? It'd be so funny. It'd be better than the last election. I can't wait for 2020. Hell, I can't wait for the midterms. It's going to be a shit show. 2020 is probably going to be worse than 2016. Trump will almost certainly be in there. Look, if he gets primaried by his own party, he's going to go apeshit. It'd be even better. Because then he'll be swinging off the Republicans. It'll be like primary 2.0, only even more of a death match. And then he'll probably win anyway, go on to face some neoliberal and ram them into the ground. Oh, it'd be so great. I can't wait. Oh, please, John. I would donate to John Kerry's primary run just in hopes that he wins. That's how funny it would actually be. Because I can remember 2004. Remember, here you've got dumb W. He can't even string a sentence together. He's already not well liked. We're at war for no reason. Everyone knows there's no fucking reason. Surveillance, the Patriot Act, banning the Dixie Chicks, that one, crazy soldier who was throwing grenades into people's tents. Yeah, everything was screwy. Everything was way even more chaotic than it is now, arguably. And here comes the Democratic candidate. And he couldn't be more boring. He couldn't be more legalistic and anti-charismatic. And the difference between the way he conducted himself and the way W acted was so stark that it actually made W look good at times. That was a hard act. It's a hard act to follow, dude, to make a Bush look good. That's about all. Peace out.